So this week we are learning about remembering, retelling, and reliving our stories through Chapter 7 of Fluker's book, Ethical Leadership. So the first part of Chapter 7 discusses how we go about remembering our stories and what exactly goes into remembering our past experiences and how it's going to help us towards a better future. So Fluker starts off with discussing about how you have to recollect information from past experiences in order to know what went wrong, what went right, what friendships you may want to strengthen, what ones you can let go, just a variety of different things. And he also touches a little bit on how our childhood experiences are going to help us prepare and decide our future, what sort of paths that we're going to take, what road we're going to take to get where we want to go, that sort of thing. And then there's two main things that Fluker touches on within this section of the chapter that really kind of stood out to me. So the first thing is that he talks about that your stories include a plot, and the literal definition of a plot would either be story or sequence events or a small piece of ground that you can plant things on. So he plays a little bit on how both definitions are true for remembering our stories. So obviously a sequence of events would be our past experiences and how they all play into the climax and the falling action of our storyline. And then the part that really stood out to me was the small piece of ground definition of a plot and how that can be connected to remembering our stories. So what he talks about here is that you're planting your seeds and then you're watering the plant and watching it grow. So every one of your past experiences is going to help you in the future in some way, small or big. So, for example, if you want to go to college, you're going to study and get good grades in high school and really put forth the effort into college applications and scholarships so that you can go to college, get that degree, and have your dream job someday. So that's kind of building that portion of your life up from a little tiny seed in your head to an actual working it out and seeing the results. Then the other thing he talks about is the acorn theory. So on page 168, it says that James Hillman says that each life is like a tiny acorn that contains within itself an oak tree. So think about the little squirrels making the acorns fall from the trees. Every acorn that falls is going to plant a new tree. Whether or not that tree grows or not is up to weather and Mother Nature and all of that. However, with our own life, we're each a tiny little acorn that has the opportunity to grow into this huge tree with all of these different aspects about us that are going to make us truly, for one, unique, and for two, a wholehearted and fully centered person. So I thought that was really unique that he talked about that because I had never heard about the acorn theory before. I don't know if anybody else had or not, but I never did. So just putting it into that kind of perspective, how we start out small and we grow big and we really play off of our past is important. So one thing to remember when you're talking about remembering our stories is that the events that happened in your past, some of them you're going to want to forget. However, you can't just never look back. You have to look back into your past to build upon your future. So the next part of Chapter 7 of Fluker's book talks about how we retell our stories. So there's three different aspects that go into it. The first one is self-reading, which is basically looking at your life and figuring out who the most important people in your life are, who the most important goals and dreams are in your life, ideas, animals, just every single important aspect of your life, and kind of putting it into a perspective that where you can see, like, these are the things that I want to work on and really build up in my life. The second part is self-authoring, which is responding to situations that may arise in your life. So if something happens to you, like a car accident, how are you going to respond to it? Some people get into a really tough situation and they lose all hope, and they don't want to work to do physical therapy or whatever it may be to get themselves back to where they were before the accident, whereas other people are going to see it as an eye-opener and really take it to get back on track and better themselves and tell their story. And then the third part is self-revision, which would be learning from others and yourself to create a change. So if something happened to you and you didn't like the way you responded to the situation, it would be taking a look back at that whole entire situation, what originally happened, how you responded, what you didn't like, what you liked, and really learning from it so that the next time that a similar situation or the same situation comes up, you can respond to it in a better way where it's going to create a better outcome than the first time around. So the third and final part of Chapter 7 is reliving our stories. So this goes back to remembering our stories. So reliving is done in the present time, and it's making decisions to better yourself and your future by using your past experiences to help you out. It's acting out your goals and dreams that you have set for yourself by using those past experiences again. And it's also about knowing who to share your story with. What I mean by this is some people are going to be on a city bus and get to talking with a complete stranger and share their most emotional and most touching stories of their life. However, other people aren't going to want to do that. They're not going to open up as much. So it's like, for some people it could be your family and friends, your closest individuals that you have in your life. For other people it could be really anyone that they're willing to share their story with. So inspirational speakers are really open about telling their stories and reliving their stories. So for them, who they tell their story with would be more along the lines of anyone. And for someone like me, I'm not going to tell my story to just a complete stranger. I would have to know you pretty well in order to feel comfortable telling you my story. However, you have to be open for help and to be helped at this stage in the process. So even though you have your past experiences and you're working towards a better future, if you encounter something that's going to set you back, you have to be open from others for help. And you also have to be working with others to help others as well. So the reliving our stories is really putting our past to the future sort of thing. So obviously, like I've been saying, it's a matter of using your past experiences to better your future. So you would have, well, let me read this quote that I put on here. Your falls and traumas and failures and scars are all part of your journey, your story. Embrace them. Tell your story. So every part of your past is going to be a part of you. You can't change that. You can't change the past, and the only thing you can do is shape your future. So that goes back to remembering our stories. You're going to want to know what from the past you want to work on, what you want to strengthen, what you want to forget about, and really play it into bettering your future due to those, what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. So for me, I'll just tell you this little snippet. I have a tattoo on my leg, and it's the word hope with an arrow. So what it symbolizes is to always go forward. So that's a little bit of my story, like a little snippet of my story, about how no matter how hard you fall, you're always going to end up getting back up. You're going to want the support system to help you. You're going to want to keep moving forward by using your past to help your future be shaped into what you wanted it to be. So this is just a little activity that I found and I came up with. You can follow the hyperlink that I have up at the top here for the entire PDF. I think it's like 4 or 5 pages, but just a little bit that I took away from it is these next 2 slides. So they ask you a bunch of questions to develop your story. So it's really like a what's your story kind of activity. So they ask 4 questions about developing your story. So the first question is, what is an issue that you are passionate about? The second, what will you be calling on others to do? The third, what values move you to take action like that and might also inspire others to similar action? The fourth is, what stories can you tell from your own life about specific people or events that would show how you learned or acted on those values? So if you want to pause the video at this point and just really think about those questions and how you would respond if someone asked you that. And then the next part will be after you're done with that. So the next part is brainstorming your story. So there's 3 questions that they ask at this point. What was the specific challenge you faced and how was it your challenge? The second, what was the specific choice you made and where did you get the courage for that choice? The third, what happened as a result of your choice? What hope can it give others? So really use those 3 questions to shape your story if you were to tell it to someone else so that they can realize, hey, this is what they did in their past, but this is what they want their future to become. So after you think about that, I just want to leave you with this one last quote that I hold very dear to my heart. I think about this quote almost on a daily basis. It's the picture on the left-hand side here. It's, you were given this life because you are strong enough to live it. So just remember, even if you're in the worst of times or the best of times, you were simply given this life because you are the one person that's going to be able to make the best of it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So.